Hey, what a great day to do a depression seminar. I mean, isn't it? Yeah. We prayed for rain. Good to have all of you here today. My theme verse for this morning is in Ephesians. It's chapter 5, verse 29. It says, when you talk, do not say harmful things, but say what people need. Words that will make others be stronger. People get misguided in what to do when they're depressed. And why I feel passionate about what we're doing today is because I think people suffer too long, and we wait sometimes too long, or we get real misguided. And so today we want to narrow that down and not be misguided. When we put together the book, Moving Beyond Depression, which is about our 14th book, what we wanted to do was create, and this was our purpose, we wanted to create the best possible handbook for the lay people on planet Earth. That was our mission in writing that, our purpose in writing that book. We believe to treat depression successfully, you've got to take a whole person approach. Well, what's that mean? A whole person approach? Obviously, I don't use the word holistic or because it gets so confused. I never want to be tossed in the New Age camp. I never want people to misunderstand. So I say whole person. I know we've got to touch into the emotional, the physical, the nutritional. We've got to touch into, obviously, the body chemistry, our relationships. We've got to touch into our intellectual side and obviously our spiritual side. The people who tend to recover from depression long term will say, you know what? It was that spiritual side that kept me focused to keep me going. Now, there's a lot of different forms of depression. And today, this is not in any means an academic presentation. And we're not going to talk about all the different forms of depression. Here's what I found out. If you're depressed, you know it. Something's off. And in the first few chapters of the book, Moving Beyond Depression, we've got surveys and checklists for you. And I don't want to spend today just going through checklists with you. But people know when they're depressed, except for men. Men don't always get it when they're depressed. Have you noticed that? No? It was a guy down here who said, no. Well, actually that's probably changing, and I'm somewhat joking with you today, but we have different ways of dealing with depression. Men tend to deal with it differently, throw ourselves maybe into work. We do different things. Anger, we throw ourselves into work, but we're doing different things in order to try to cope with depression. And we all have our unique ways of coping with it. I'll tell you what I believe. I believe there are a lot more people who are depressed, and maybe it's getting labeled as something else. And they are drowning it in an addiction. From our experiences, addictions are the fastest growing area of our work. And we live in an addiction-promoting culture, don't we? I mean, our state tells us that gambling, alcohol and drugs is always up there, but gambling and sex addiction are our two fastest growing addictions. Now, the thing about an addiction is it creates more depression, doesn't it? Absolutely. It was years ago when we were doing some client surveys that kept coming up, and Mike remembers this. Several times clients were writing, this is a place of hope, this is a place of hope. And so our byline kind of came to be a place of hope, which is the name of the website. And we have specially loaded up a lot of great information on the topic of depression. There are new things on there as of yesterday. But one of the things, there's 4 things not to do if you're depressed. One is don't isolate. Number 2 is don't be impulsive. And I think we need to ask, to pray for wisdom. The other thing, don't keep doing the same things that you're doing if you're depressed. What I mean by that is we've got to look at something different. You know, the definition of insanity, of course, is doing the same things over and over. So make a decision, I'm going to do something different. And the 4th thing probably not to do if you're depressed is don't allow yourself to slide into addictive type behavior. It can be very, very subtle how that happens. You probably noticed this, but when you get stressed out, what do we tend to do? We tend to go back to our old ways, don't we? Our old ways of coping. If it was alcohol, we tend to have a temptation to go back to that, whatever it is. But one of the things that we need to also self-guard is our thinking about ourselves. And you know, we are told in the first chapter of Ephesians that God thought about us before the formation of the earth. I am one that firmly believes that we have a hope. And if you've been struggling with depression for a long time and you haven't found that missing piece, you're not to give up. Right? We are not to give up. And maybe we've taken a lot of bunny trails. We did a survey years ago to find out how long it took for some of our eating disorder clients to seek help. And it used to be they had waited 7 years to do something. That's way too long to suffer. And so today, if you would like, if there's anybody here, don't leave without somebody partnering with you in prayer and claiming the positive future that we're told and promised that we have. And we want to partner with you today in prayer. So if you're suffering from depression, the good news is there is good news. This is about you helping yourself construct a plan and a plan of hope.
Dr. Gregg Jantz is the founder of the Center for Counseling and Health Resources in Edmonds, Washington. He is a licensed counselor, author, speaker, and radio personality. Visit www.aplaceofhope.com and order Dr. Jantz's latest book, Moving Beyond Depression. That's www.aplaceofhope.com. Hope is alive and well. People can and do change.